To my review on the Leatherman Charge XTi. I actually purchased it the other day. It's actually an old model which has now been retired, probably back in 2008 or 9. Probably got that wrong, someone's going to correct me on that one. Basically, it's similar to the current model Charge AXL, which is basically this model here. The difference being that this model here has titanium handles, and pretty much it's the same as the current model. I'm actually pretty glad I picked this up. This is actually my very first Leatherman. I have a huge collection of Swiss Army knives, Wenger, Victorinox, and currently this is one of my favourite tools, which is the Solder, which I've reviewed previously if you check out my other videos. I like this because it's light, it's got a good blade, one-handed operation, and it locks. So yeah, this is my first foray into Leathermans. I've always wanted one. Just had a birthday recently, had some cash, thanks Dad, and thought I'd get one. When I was getting this, I was seriously considering the Skeletal CX, but this one here had 30% off, which obviously, because it's an older model, didn't realise at the time for why the discount. But the reason I liked it was that it had seatbelt cutters, and my dad has the rescue tool, which I quite like the idea of having something that can cut seatbelts. Not that that's ever going to probably happen in my lifetime, but I kind of like that cool feature, which is this here. So yeah, I might as well review, sort of going into the blades already. It's got titanium handles. I don't think that makes any difference, but I think it's quite cool having some titanium on a knife. But the knife blades are actually stainless steel, apart from the main knife, which is the special 154 cm, which is basically a special steel that's being created, which holds its blade apparently 3 times as long. There's lots of forums about different blades and different materials for blades. To be honest, I've got a huge collection of Swiss Army knives, and I've never actually sharpened any of the blades. They all are still quite sharp, so if this becomes my main blade, it would be good to have something that lasts. But I do have to purchase a knife sharpening kit, which I don't have, but I've never had the need for it because I've got too many knives and there's always a sharp knife somewhere. But yeah, as you can see, it's quite a sharp knife, good for punching through boxes. I mean, unfortunately, I'm living in the real world, and my real world is opening boxes and stuff like that. I have an office job, so envelopes might be the toughest job for the knives I have, which is pretty unfortunate. But I do plan to go out camping and do some wilderness kind of stuff, and hopefully a knife will come in handy. Yeah, but with the Charge, it has lots of features. I'm not too sure how many tools it has. The current Charge ALX has 18. I mean, I could count them all, but basically, you got your needle nose pliers. You got some wire cutters here, and some right at the bottom of that. You got a real heavy duty bit, so you can cut thicker wire, I guess. And I think this is a crimper here. At first I thought it was something you could remove nails with, but it's pretty high up, so I don't think that would come in handy for that. But yeah, crimper, I'm guessing, and then your needle nose, so it's got quite a thin point. But the pliers themselves feel really chunky. I've got pliers in my own toolkit. I'd probably use those first if I'm at home, but if I'm out and about, this will come really in handy, and it seems pretty solid. I've seen in some other reviews, people say this bit here pinches quite close. This goes for all of the Charge series. One reviewer says he's pinched and got some blood blisters here. I haven't found that at all myself. It all depends on how you hold your Leatherman, I guess, or pliers for that reason. So ergonomically, I find this to be great, and I don't know if the titanium feels any different from the aluminium, but I prefer to titanium. It's kind of cool. I noticed though it scratches quite easy on the polished parts. I don't know if that was from the factory or if it was in the display cupboard at the shop. I'm guessing that looking at this, you could probably see a date stamp which is upside down for you guys. It says 10/06, so I'm guessing this was made in October 2006 as a manufacture date. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I have no idea about date stamps for Leathermans, but I was just using some common sense. Yeah, going through all the blades. Well, while we're in the inside handles, you've got a can opener. Oh, actually, these are your optic screwdrivers, or for spectacles or whatever you want to call them, whatever country you come from. So you've got a Phillips and a flathead, so you just basically pull it out, and it just locks in there with a little spring with a little bit of friction. So I have used those quite a lot. Not in this, but I do use jewelry set screwdrivers and stuff, mainly to take things apart to see what's inside. Curiosity, typical. So yeah, that actually locks into place, which is great, and I've never really experienced this before. Tools that all lock, because on my what do you call it? This Victorinox Solder 2008, it's only the blade and the can opener that lock, and this is, I've only got two locking blade Swiss Army knives, and I thought that was cool. But this Leatherman here, I mean, you probably all know this because you're all fanatics about Leathermans, or you're researching to buy one, or in this case it's probably a second-hand one. But all the blades on this lock, which I think is fantastic, and there's no play whatsoever. I've seen some reviews of some other things like SOGs, and the knives have play, but this is really highly engineered. Really impressed. So yeah, that's one of the screwdrivers, and then you've also got these ones here with bit sets. So it came with a 8 or 7 piece bit set, which I keep in the sheath. I used to call these pouches, but they're called sheaths apparently. I guess it's different in each country. So I got all of my bit sets here. So I've got too many to name, but pretty much these are all metric, because obviously in America they'll be all imperial, which one day will probably change. I'm sorry. So yeah, these are all metric bit sets, so good for Europe, Australia, New Zealand, and the rest of the world. But yeah, I guess the imperial, only America use those sort of settings. But I don't know what I'm talking about there, so you probably will correct me in the forums. So there's another bit set here. So I keep a Phillips on this side, and I keep the flathead on this side. I thought it was overkill at first, having two. You could just easily swap them over by just having one. But then I realised that I don't always want to carry this around and have all my socket sets. So I keep the most commonly used, your flathead and your Phillips, and the actual Leatherman. And then you don't have to worry about changing them over. So I guess this replaces with the TI, which was the original brother of this, or the current TTI, which has scissors instead of just having two. So I think it's better to actually have the two socket, your bit sets, what you want to call them, built into the knife, which is really cool. Then I noticed that there's a can opener. I was a bit worried when I first saw this, because I didn't know if they could really open a can of beer, which was probably the most commonly used tool on my Leatherman or Swiss Army knife. Not an alcoholic, but a beverage is quite nice in the evening. But that doubles as a can opener and a beer bottle opener at the same time, and it does it pretty well. I thought it would be damaging the end of the knife because it's quite thin, because on the Swiss Army knives you've got quite a thick head area, but it works fantastically, no problems there whatsoever. So once again that locks, so I have to push this button here to put it back into its slot. The other good thing about this is it has what they call, I don't know, I'm saying this wrong, but outside opening knives is where most of the traditional Leathermans all have the tools from the inside. You have to open them from in here. But these are all accessible. So you've got like a one-handed operated knife here, like I've shown before, and then you've got a locking mechanism here, which you press, and then that puts the knife away. Then you've got your diamond file. I don't know if it really is diamonds, it's probably some cheap amateur kind of thing. So you've got your diamond file on that side, then you've got like a heavy duty file here, and apparently that can cut metal. I wouldn't want to try that unless I'm stuck in prison. Then you've got the thing I showed before, you've got your seatbelt cutter or gutter if you're a hunter. I don't hunt, but I thought it was quite cool. It was a safety tool to keep in the car. But I'm probably going to keep this on me most of the time, because now it's the knife I carry on me. Then you've got like a serrated blade, which is good for cutting, your rope and all that kind of stuff that needs a little bit more serration. Or bread if you're camping. And then of course you've got this one here, which is cutting kindling if you're camping. Not as big as a Soldier though. I was quite, it looks like a huge tool, but when you compare that blade with the Soldier, it's a lot bigger. So if I go camping, this would be the tool I take with me, just for that reason. However, it doesn't actually lock on the soldier. So you've got the risk of it, you know, when you're pulling and pushing a bit of wood, you could easily just cut your hands. This is where this one locks. So weighing that up, maybe the Leatherman in that case. Just depends on the day really and where you are. I think I've covered most of the features. You've got a ruler, which kind of goes like this. I haven't actually measured to see if you have to push together or if it's like that. I'm guessing push together is probably more common sense. So obviously you can measure pieces of string. Measuring things might be difficult because you've got this thing in the way. I don't know, unless you're just measuring up to about 9 centimeters and you've got one side. Yeah, so that concludes my review on the Leatherman Charge XTi. It's an older model. I think it came out around about 2004 3 and sort of they retired it when the new Charge ALX came out. I'm actually happy I picked this up rather than the Charge ALX because I prefer the titanium handles to the aluminium ones. I just think, I don't know, I mean, people can correct me if I'm wrong, but the black sort of powder coated aluminium, I don't know if it's powder coated or whatever it is, it just looks like it could possibly scratch and come off after time. But I know Leathermans are covered by a 25-year guarantee, so surely that would be suffice. But yeah, a fantastic knife. In fact, it's probably the one I'm going to primarily carry on me. However, it is heavy. Pretty heavy. I'm not too sure on the weight. I think it's about 235 grams. I was tempted to get the skeletal, as I said before, and I'm still thinking of getting that in the long run. Is probably an everyday carry Leatherman, but for heavy duty tasks, this seems to be the Leatherman of choice. It is old, but check out on your auction websites, your eBays, your Trade Me's, or whatever you want to call them in your country. It's worth getting. Okay, thanks very much.